Okay, well, thanks for dropping back in for another video from Bleeding Edge Tattoo Supply. Now, today, it's not really an unboxing or an unveiling of a new product. In fact, we're going to be taking a look at cartridges, Mythic cartridges in particular, which we've already talked about them before, but I want to go a little bit more in depth. There's lots of different confusing terminology out there, right? And everybody and their brother likes to make up their own naming conventions for stuff. So just in case any of you are lost, I'm gonna take this and lay it out straight so it makes sense to everybody. Okay? Now, there are tons and tons of variations, but the two important variations of needle groupings that are available are round groupings and mag groupings. Okay, and then within those, there's two major styles, right? Round liners, right, which Mythic has in the nice red box, right? Easily identifiable on the side. And they have round shaders. Now they're in a purple box, also easily identified on the side with the RS. So those are the two round groupings. Mag groupings, there is a standard mag, standard weave mag, or M1, which is going to be the code that they have there in the blue box, and curved mags in the green box. Again, easily identifiable right there on the side. So, depending on where you look for your needles and needle groupings, everybody has a different name for it. So like curved mags, for example, you're going to see all kinds of stuff like round mag and soft edge mag, and there's lots of other variations of all of these other ones as well. But to keep it nice and simple, it's another reason why I really like Mythic. They don't have any fancy naming for their cartridges. It's just literally round liner, round shader, mags, and curved mags. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to give you a very simplistic, broke down view of what these look like side by side. So like I say, there's round liners and round shaders. Those are your typical round groupings. And as the name would suggest, the round liner is typically for doing line work, and the round shader is typically for filling in large areas. Now that's not to say that you can't fill in with a liner and that you can't line with a shader. Of course you can, they're just not typically designed for those uses. So, basic difference, looking overhead. If I draw some little dots here to give you a bird's eye view of what those needles look like. We're doing a 7-round liner. You're going to notice these 7 little dots here. That's the pinpoints of your needles. And notice how they're really closely packed there to give you a nice clean line. Now a shader, on the other hand, which could have 7 needles, so if we're doing a 7-round shader, they're in the same configuration, same grouping, like this. But you're going to notice that they're not quite so tightly packed, okay? And that is the whole idea behind that, is that it's going to fill a larger area a little bit quicker than the round liner is. Where the round liner, they're a lot more tightly packed in that grouping to give you nice, crispy, clean lines. And if I hold them up side by side, you can actually see here the difference in the size. Even though these two cartridges specifically are 9 rounds, you're going to see that the round liner looks a lot smaller than the round shader, even though there's the same amount of needles, and those needles are in fact the same thickness, same gauge. Now, let's take a look at the mags. There's a standard weave mag, or M1, and a standard curved mag. And as I'm sure you guys have come across out there, there's all kinds of marketing to relabel or rename and make you think that they're something other than they are. Like round mags or soft edge mags or any number of different terms. It's all the same, okay? So a standard mag, if I was to draw that out for you, they look a little bit like this. So a little bit more like a paintbrush. The needles are stacked on top of one another in 2 layers in kind of a weaved pattern. Looking at it from the side, in a mag, very much do this kind of thing, right? So imagine these are individual needles. It looks very squared off from the side angle. Okay, much like a standard paintbrush, if you will. Now, round mag or curved mag actually looks a little bit more like this. So all the needles make a curved or rounded or soft edge to them. Okay, now the reason for that is that there are those that'll say, especially if you're using a large mag, right, like a 25 or something like that with a lot of needles, that over that span, the skin kind of does this sort of thing, okay? Bows a little bit, and the needles on either side are contacting a little bit more than the needles in the middle. Now, if you're using a curved mag, the formation of those needles fit a little bit better to that curvature of the skin as you're tattooing. So there are some artists that feel very much that the round mag or the curved mag will get you better contact when you're feeling larger areas. Now, it's not to say that one is right and one is wrong. They're both fine to use. They both have their uses. The standard weave mag is really versatile in that you can flip it on its side and use like the edge or the corner to do whiskers or hairs or anything like that. Whereas with a curved mag, you can't really do that because those corners are gone. But they're fine. Whichever one you prefer to use, there is more than one way to art. And to give you a bit of a heads up view of what these look like side by side, there you go. So as you can see, that curve in the curved mag is not super pronounced, but to some guys that is all the difference in the world. So it's really up to you, whatever you're going to use, but at least you now know what they all are and you're not going to get confused with different terminology. Okay? So rounds, mags, round liners and round shaders, and standard mags and curved mags. So that is your basic breakdown of the 4 basic configurations of needles and cartridges. And needles and cartridges, they're the same, just different format depending on whether you're loyal to the coil or you've gone to a rotary pen. Now, of course, there's lots of different variations, like I said, and without a doubt, there is a bug pin version of each of these. But I will save that for another video. Alright, so make sure that you stop back in and check out our other videos. We'll try to keep you on top of what's new and what's coming.